matter how it may look. I only had you in my heart.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And in this installment of Versus, we're pitting Tony Soprano against Walter White.
And in the end, you're completely alone with it all.
For this video, two of TV's definitive antiheroes are facing off against each other for the crown. Since we'll be discussing the fates of Tony, Walt, and those around them, a spoiler alert is in order. Are you Team Tony or Team Walt? Let us know in the comments. Round 1. Rooting Factor. Tony is a murderer, a bigot, and arguably a sociopath. So why did we root for this North Jersey crime boss over 6 seasons? We're in a golden age of antiheroes, and many would point to Tony as the instigator.
How you doing, Mikey? How you doing?
While we had seen sympathetic gangsters in media, Tony was presented through a modern lens. Examining Tony's mental health, we see the vulnerable man behind the aggressive mobster.
Any thoughts at all on why you blacked out?
I don't know. Stress, maybe.
For all his faults, Tony is dedicated to keeping his loved ones safe. His methods aren't always justified, but we understand what drives him to do such things. To some, he's the devil. To others, he's the American dream incarnate.
I want those kids to have a father.
They got one. This one. Me. Tony Soprano. And all that comes with it.
Oh, you prick.
Walter White is easy to empathize with in the beginning.
You understood what I've just said to you.
Yes. Lung cancer. Inoperable.
Although he cooks methamphetamine, he only does it to provide for his family before cancer takes its toll. As Walt develops into the drug kingpin of Heisenberg, his ethics become more questionable. But it's hard not to root for somebody who looks and sounds so badass in the process.
This is not meth.
Ego and corruption eventually consume Walt, though, resulting in him murdering Mike for talking back and getting Hank killed as well.
It was perfect, but no, you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego.
We ultimately cheer Walt on as he settles the score with Jack. Watching Walt take his last breath, though, there's no denying that karma has caught up with him. Both characters have pushed the anti-hero to its limits, but seeing them come out on top is still so satisfying. We find ourselves more consistently rooting for Tony, however. Even at his most unforgivable, we identify with Tony's motives, which usually tie into preserving his two families. Walt becomes too blinded by greed, often losing sight of what's most important. Forget about this round, Walt. Point goes to Tony. Tony Soprano 1, Walter White 0. Round 2. Crew members. In the hands of lesser storytellers, Tony's inner circle could have been written as a collection of generic Italian mobsters.
Tony Gabagool, Grandma, it's nothing but fat and nitrates.
Gabagool, over here.
While they can succumb to certain stereotypes, every member of the DeMeo crime family is distinct. Silvio Dante is the silent yet deadly type, getting the job done without asking questions. Although Paulie Gualtieri can talk too much, the audience never doubts his loyalty to Tony.
When I was in the service, I won the Chin-Ups Cup 3 weeks in a row.
Bobby Baccalieri is the voice of reason, rarely having to get his own hands dirty.
Listen to me, I'm your uncle. A Junior's in federal lockup. No one's getting to him there.
Christopher Moltisanti is the idiot nephew whose lifetime of blunders is bound to stack up. Then there's Salvatore Bonpensiero, a reluctant rat who sleeps with the fishes. Given his high school chemistry teacher background, Walt doesn't immediately strike people as a drug kingpin, so it's only fitting that he would attract an unlikely group of associates.
You want to cook crystal meth?
Walt's most complex dynamic is with Jesse Pinkman, who comes to see his former teacher as a partner, mentor, friend, father figure, and enemy throughout the series. Police officer turned cleaner Mike Ehrmantraut is like Walt in some respects, both starting with respectable careers before entering the criminal world.
No more half measures, Walter.
Where Walt loses his way, though, Mike maintains a degree of honor. Then there's Saul Goodman, the sleazy lawyer whose inner con artist can't help but be drawn to Walt's schemes.
I'll tell you one thing, you've got the right product. Anything that gets the DEA's panties in this big a bunch, you're onto something special. And I would like to be a small and silent part of it.
While both shows have exceptional ensembles, Tony's associates are like planets revolving around the sun that is Mr. Soprano. Walt's crew members are not only layered enough to carry entire episodes on their own, but some have carried spin-offs and TV movies. Their contributions go beyond supporting Walt, meaning that this round goes to Team Heisenberg.
Yes! Yes!
Tony Soprano 1, Walter White 1. Round 3, Family Values. Tony supports two families, his biological family and his mob family, which sometimes intersect. Tony isn't above killing a member of his crime family, although it's usually to protect others close to him. As for his immediate family, Tony's infidelity is just one of the ways that he dishonors his marriage vows to Carmela.
The Russian called. Your son answered the telephone.
Yet there is a mutual partnership that sees the two through the for worse part of those vows.
I can't tell you how proud I am of you. A real student at Casa Soprano.
Tony isn't Parent of the Year either, but he does support his daughter Meadow's aspirations for a legit life, and when it matters most, he's there for his troubled son AJ.
It's important that we all leave for a little while until things settle down.
Walt begins as an ideal family man, just wanting to support his wife Skylar, teenage son Walter Jr., and soon-to-be-born daughter Holly.
Whatever happens, your family will get your share.
While Walt remains faithful to Skylar, he exposes her to lies, verbal abuse, and depression as he gets deeper into crime. Walt keeps telling himself that he's doing this for his family, but when everything goes to hell, he realizes that his family is no more.
I tried to save him!
Uncle Hank is dead.
No.
Hey, Mom, it can't be true. It just can't be true.
Everything is gonna be okay.
Although Walt manages to reconcile with Skylar before dying, Walt Jr. never forgives him, and Holly will grow up never knowing her father. In many respects, Walt's wife and son didn't know him either. Not in the end, at least.
Understand.
I have to hear one more time that you did this for the family.
I did it for me.
You wouldn't want either as a parent, but when all is said and done, Tony brings his family together for dinner. Walt is left without a family, dying alone in a fitting final resting place. We'd rather be part of the Sopranos than part of the Whites.
Isn't that what you said one time? Try and remember the times that were good?
Tony Soprano 2, Walter White 1. Round 4, Rivals and Enemies. In addition to constantly having the FBI breathing down his neck, Tony must deal with an assortment of enemies threatening the DeMeo crime family.
And you better pay me the respect that I gave your brother, or we're gonna have a problem.
In some cases, they're internal threats, which makes matters even more complicated. Ralph Cifaretto begins as an ally, but his hot temper, big mouth, and possible mistreatment of a horse lead to his demise at Tony's hands.
A beautiful innocent creature. What did she ever do to you?
Richie Aprile and Uncle Jr. also antagonize Tony from within.
All I know is you never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
Oh, son of a bitch!
What?
Did I just tell you not to say that again?
Say what?
The Lupertazzi crime family poses perhaps the greatest threat to the DeMeos, the most formidable players being Johnny Sack and Phil Leotardo.
I'll get it. My neck, Tony.
What do you think, I'm an asshole?
No.
Tony doesn't die at their hands, although an unidentified shooter might have gotten him in the end. Although Walt faced some live-wire enemies like Tuco, his most intimidating foes were often silent types. Hector Salamanca is mostly immobile, but he ignites dread with the ring of a bell.
You don't trust him?
The cousins don't need to speak to instill fear either. Todd Alquist's indifference to murder and torture make for an unexpectedly chilling presence. Gustavo Fring's ruthless tendencies only make his professional demeanor more unnerving. For all the fellow criminals that Walt confronts, his own brother-in-law is the one trying to put Heisenberg behind bars. When Walt and Hank inevitably clash head-on, we're left to wonder who is the true hero and villain in all this.
How'd you like my barrel photo, huh? Took it in the backyard by the barbecue grill. You know, where we used to cook out with the family.
An anti-hero is only as good or bad as their enemies. While Tony's rivals weren't to be reckoned with, Walt's rivals had dimensions that made them every bit as fascinating as the central character. In Gus's case, you could even argue that the big bad outshined the protagonist. This round belongs to Albuquerque. Tony Soprano 2, Walter White 2. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Round 5. Evolution. Tony Soprano undergoes one of the most intricate character arcs in the TV landscape, balancing work, family, crime, and mental health.
Did you have these feelings of loss more acutely in the hours before you collapsed?
I don't know.
Behind the killer, he's a man trying to put food on the table for his family and survive an unpredictable world, which we can all relate to. Between the pilot and the finale, though, Tony doesn't drastically change. His surroundings change and the audience's perception of him may change, but he remains a violent mobster and dedicated family man throughout. Dr. Melfi ultimately ends their therapy sessions, convinced that he'll never make true progress.
I don't think I can help you.
Well, change him. Bring in some new shit.
I mean therapeutically.
Tony is who he is, and only in his dreams do we see him at his most honest.
All the perquisites to lead young men onto the field of sport. And now look at the stress you live with.
In the pilot, Walter White describes chemistry as the study of change, which mirrors his evolution throughout the series.
It is growth, then decay, then transformation.
Creator Vince Gilligan described Walt as someone who turns from Mr. Chips to Scarface. As much as Walt evolves throughout the series, we don't have a hard time believing that this loving family man and science teacher could become a drug lord.
I am the one who knocks.
Even from his humble beginnings, we see glimpses of a man who feels entitled to respect, wealth, and a position on top. Walt achieves all of this by the end, but he loses everything else along the way.
I'm the cook. I'm the man who killed Gus Fring.
From tragedy to triumph to tragedy again, every step in Walt's evolution is meticulously thought out.
There is more money here than we could spend in 10 lifetimes.
Tony and Walt took us on thrilling rides, with both receiving satisfying ends. Walt's arc offered the most twists and turns, however. Tony might have been easier to root for, but Walt's evolution arguably made him more intriguing to observe over the years. Thus, Walt is the one who knocks this round out of the park for a final victory of 2-3. Winner, Mr. White.
Heisenberg. You're goddamn right.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.